Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can design your own layered letters in Cricut Design Space. Now, I have previously done a video on this topic, which is how to design a 6-layer letter, like the one that you can see on the screen now. This is actually part of my lovely layering training series where I teach you how to make all sorts of designs in Design Space, but this video is available as a free sample, so I'll show you how to find that at the end. So I thought I'd make kind of a more beginner version of this video. So for this letter we're going to make today, it's only 3 layers in total, so it's going to be much easier and quicker to design. But also we're going to do the whole thing from within Cricut Design Space. We're going to use some layered fonts that already exist in Design Space to create the outline for our letter, which will then turn into layers with a sunflower design. I've opened a new project in Design Space and I'm going to go into the text tool on the left hand side and type my letter. So I will do an S for Sarah. I need to turn this into a multi-layer font so that I can make the outline of the S. So if you watched my previous video on how to design shadow layers for text in Design Space, we're going to be doing that same technique here. If you didn't watch that video and you'd like to check it out, I'll put a link in the description of this one. I'm going to drag over the S in the little text box and then go into the font drop down. Under Filter, I'm going to click Multi-Layer, and this is going to show me all of the multi-layer fonts in Design Space. So there are lots to choose from. I'll go down here. One of the ones that I find works particularly well for these layered designs is called Birthday Cakes or Birthday Bash, so either one of those work really well. Over in the Layers panel on the right, there are 2 separate layers. This bottom one at the moment is hidden, which we know because it's got a little line through the eye icon. So if I click that eye, you can now see that bottom layer. And I'm going to change it to a different colour other than black, just so that it's a bit easier to see. Oh, it's being buggy. Okay, if yours is buggy like this and you start moving things and it just grabs the complete wrong place, then that's a current issue in the latest version of Design Space. To fix it, click in the 3 lines on the top left and then go to Settings and change your canvas style to Classic. Now this is going to erase everything I've done, so I'll have to do it again, so I'll just run through that quickly. But this classic version is much less buggy than the other one, so if you are having Design Space problems, just do that little trick and it should help. And then just show you what it's doing. There we go, that's better. See, this classic version is going to be helpful for this video. Okay, so at the moment, it's just 2 solid shapes, and that's not what we need. We just want that little thin border that's around the edge. So I'm going to hit undo to put that back in position. There we go. And I'm going to click and drag a box around both of these layers. And then down the bottom of the Layers panel, click Slice. That's going to cut them out from each other. So now we've got 3 layers. We've got 2 that are the same size, and then we've got this brown border, and that's what we need. So I'm going to delete the other 2. Now I'm going to be making a 3-layer letter. So for now, I'm just going to right click and duplicate this 3 times. I'm going to change the colors. So let's make that one a darker color. Let's go a dark grey. My middle is going to be the sunflower, so I'll make it yellow, and then the bottom one can be blue, so it'll look like sky. Click and drag a box around all your letters and then go into Align and Center. Now it doesn't really matter what colours you've chosen at this point, you can change them again later, it's really easy, just at any point you can click on them and change the colour. So don't worry too much about what colour you make them, just make sure that they're all different as it will make it easier to see as we're going along. Okay, I'm going to hide the top 2 layers by clicking the eye icons next to them in the Layers panel. And now I've just got the blue one. I want to choose my image for my layered design. So go into Images and I'm going to type in flower. And then there's a sunflower in here. There we go. I'm going to use that one. So you can choose whatever image you want. It does not have to be a flower. But once you've chosen it, then just play about with positioning it on top of your letter where you want it to go. And I think I'll do 2 because I've got quite, the S is quite big. I think 2 will fit nicely. So if you think about how this layered letter is going to work, my bottom layer is going to be all completely filled in blue. My middle layer is going to have the outline of the S in yellow, and then the sunflowers will be filled in yellow, so all the petals will be yellow. And then the very top layer is just going to be the outline of the letter in black, and then the outline of the petals. So what I find it's easiest to do is to select the images you've used by clicking on them in the Layers panel. If you've got more than one, like I've got 2, press Ctrl and choose the other layer, and then press Group. Right-click on the group and press Duplicate. And I want to line this up on top, and then to make sure I've got it exactly in the middle, I'm going to choose the group in the Layers panel, press Ctrl on my keyboard and choose the other one, and then go Align Center. And that's put them directly one on top of the other. You might find when you do that it shifts the position a bit, so you might need to re-drag them over your letter if they've moved too much. I'm going to hide the top group by clicking on the eye icon next to it. So now I've only got the bottom one, and I'm going to make these sunflowers blue to match my bottom layer, which I want to be blue. One little trick for changing the colour of groups is as long as you've got the whole group selected, you can go into the colour box and choose your colour, and it will change every single layer within that group. So I changed both of those at the same time. The next thing I want to do is to fill in these sunflowers because these are going to be a solid blue shape. So I'm going to click on the first one and then go into Contour and choose Hide All Contours, and that has filled in all of those spaces for me. And then I can do the same on the other blue one, Hide All Contours. There we are. Now when I do the yellow layer, I'm also going to want them filled in all yellow. So I'm going to right click on my blue group and duplicate it, drag it over the top so that it's as close as I can get it. And then I need to turn on my black layer and drag that to the top. And just to make sure these are now all in alignment, I'm going to change this one to yellow. I'm going to select all 3 of them just like we did before and go Align Center. And it's really, really important to keep aligning things when you're putting the same kind of layer on top of itself. You need to keep aligning it because otherwise they won't line up when you stick the layers together after you've cut it out, and your layers will look off. So by aligning them so they're exactly on top of the other, you'll end up with a neater design. Okay, so I'm going to go through my groups now and hide the black flowers and the yellow flowers. And now I've just got the blue ones showing and my blue S. I'm going to click on the group with the blue flowers, press Ctrl on my keyboard and choose the blue S, and then press World down the bottom. This has filled it in so it's now all one layer. And as this is the very bottom, I need to fill in these gaps in the S. So I can click on it and go into Contour and just click into these shapes that are still showing. And that is going to be the bottom layer finished. Next is my yellow one. So I'm going to click on the yellow flower group and turn that back on. I can't see it at the moment because it's underneath the blue one, so I can either click and drag it to the top, or you can go into Arrange and press Center Front. Mine won't let me do it because I've already clicked and dragged it, so I'll show you that on the S. So let's turn on the yellow S and then go Arrange, Center Front. And here are my yellow layers showing. So now I can weld these together. So I've got my yellow S, press Ctrl and choose the group with the yellow flowers, and then press Weld. And this is how I'm going to have my yellow layer. So that's now done. I don't need to do anything else with it. I might decide to fill in this little gap in a moment because that's going to be quite small for the cricket, but I will wait and decide that once I see how the black layer is going to look. So I need to do the same with the black layer. Turn on the black flowers, drag it to the top or go into Arrange and Center Front, and again with the S. Now this one we need to be a little bit extra clever on, because if I was going to weld these at the moment, so let's just make these the same colour. If I was to weld this now, the outline of the S is going to cut through the sunflowers, and if that's the effect you want, that's fine, but I think it's a little bit messy. I'd rather the outline of the S stopped when it got to one of the flowers and then carried on again afterwards. So I'm going to slice out the S letter to make this a bit neater. And it's going to be easiest for me to change the colour, I think, of these sunflowers. So I'm just, let's go red, that's nice and obvious. And then I'm going to drag that above so the sunflowers are on top. I need to zoom in quite a bit for this. Now you could just duplicate the sunflowers and slice it out of the S if you're confident with the slice tool. I'm not going to do it that way because sometimes that can be really confusing, especially if you've got quite a complex image. There's an easier way to do it, and that is by going into the Shapes tool and choosing either a square or a circle. As I'm doing an S which has lots of curved lines, I think a circle will be easier. I'm going to drag this so that it's small, and then what I'm going to do with all these circles, so I'm going to make lots of them and I'll make them a different colour again so it's easier to see. I'm going to position these on top of the sunflower image so that it's overlapping where the S border is going to be. So then I'll be able to cut these out, and it's going to get rid of all of these S lines inside of the sunflowers. So you can see as I'm doing this, I'm just, every time I can see the S line, I'm blocking off how it gets into the sunflower shape. And sometimes, like on this one, I'm going to have to put more than one circle to make sure all of that black line of the S is covered. Let's do the same thing on this sunflower, and this one is going to need more than one because you can see I haven't quite cut off that line of the S. And then here. So you don't need to put your circles on top of all of the pieces in between. So if you see here, I'm blocking it off at the opening of this petal, and I might need another bit there, but I don't need to cover the connecting bit between the green circles because we can use the contour tool for that later. I've just got one piece left to do, which is this one up here, and now this is ready for the next step. So I'm going to zoom out to make it easier to see, and then in the layers panel I'm going to click the top circle and then hold Control down on my keyboard and choose all of the other circles. And once I've got them all selected, down the bottom I'm going to press Weld. And now all of these circles are joined together as one single layer. That means I can have the layer selected with the circles, press Control on my keyboard and choose the black S, and then down the bottom of the layers panel press Slice, and this is going to cut those green circles out of the S. You'll end up with multiple slice results, and we don't need the ones that are the circles, so the top two are green. I can delete those. You've now got this one, and if I drag it away, you'll see this is all of the little shapes that have just been cut out. So I can delete that one, and now I'm left with this. I'm just going to hide the bottom two layers to make it a bit easier to see what's going on. So we've cut the join line of the S out, but now we've still got some big spaces left. So if you click the letter and go into contour, then you can click on the big pieces that are still over your shapes to get rid of them. Now you can see I didn't quite get my circles lined up right on this bit because I haven't broken that line of black. So I'm just going to need to do one more quickly. So I'll just break that in the red. slice it out. And I can delete those first bits, and then there's a little black bit left which I need to contour out. So it still looks a bit messy at the moment, but once you've dragged your image layer, so my sunflowers, back to the top and change them back to the colour of the S and zoom out, you can now see this is looking way neater. Now that we don't have those S lines cutting through the flowers, this is much prettier and more professional looking. So now all I need to do is select the group with the flowers, press Ctrl on my keyboard, choose the S layer, and then weld them together by pressing Weld. Uh-oh, can you see what happened? It filled in some of my petals when I welded. I don't want them filled in with black because that looks a little bit strange. So what I'm going to do is press Undo and zoom out a bit. Now if you have this problem, there are several things you can try. So if when you weld it fills bits in, here are some tips to try and fix that. The first is to change the order of the layers. So if I drag the S above the flowers, select them and now press Weld, sometimes that fixes it. So you can see actually, yeah, that did fix it this time. It hasn't filled in those petals. So if you're having the problem, try reordering your layers and then welding them again, and that can fix it. But it doesn't always. So I'm just going to pretend that didn't fix it. Let's drag the flowers back on top. So now if I was to weld this, it should fill it in again. Yeah. Alright, so if reorganizing your layers doesn't work, then what you can try instead is select all of the layers you want to weld, zoom out quite a lot, and then with them all selected, just the ones that you want to weld, so I'm not selecting the yellow or blue ones, just the black ones, make a note of the size of the height of your image. So mine is 5.15. I'm just going to write that down. It's important you know the exact size because we'll need that later. Now I can click and drag to make this really, really big. So this is going to be huge. Once you've clicked and dragged it bigger, this is now 34 inches. But once it's bigger, you can try clicking Weld again. And quite often you'll find that that helps. So in this case, it hasn't helped all the way. So I'm going to go Undo and try making it even bigger. And then press Weld again. No, that didn't work. Okay, I think the reason mine isn't working is because it would weld if I change the order. So now that I've done that, if I weld those together, now it doesn't fill them in. But if you are making it bigger because the reordering hasn't worked, then that should work for you. I've never had a case where either reordering or making it bigger hasn't actually fixed the weld problem, so that should be fine for you. Now that I've welded it, I need to put the height back. Make sure that the padlock icon is locked so that when you add the height in that we wrote down earlier, it will resize the width as well. And now I can zoom in, and because we didn't move that layer at all after we made it bigger, it's still in exactly the right place. So now we've got our 3 layers, and this is looking really cute, but this little space between the petal and the edge of the S is bugging me. So I'm going to go into contour on the black layer and the yellow layer and just take that out. I just think it's a little bit small for the Cricut to cut and it's not really doing anything useful. So let's get rid of that. Turn that back on. And there we go, that's my 3-layer letter. So if I drag the layers apart, you can see how it's all working. So when I cut this, my very bottom one is going to be this S, and then on top of that I'll stick the yellow layer, and I'll use 3D foam pads to make it nice and 3-dimensional, and then on top of that we'll go the black layer. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial as a brief introduction on how to make layered letters in Design Space. As I said at the beginning, I do have a whole host of training videos on how to make a range of layered designs. These videos are contained in my Lovely Layering training, and if you're watching this video as I've released it, say January 2021, you're in luck because Lovely Layering is currently on sale. So it's currently available at $20 off of the full price, and that sale is running until the 1st of Feb 2021. So if you're interested in taking your layering skills one step further and learning everything there is to know about creating layered designs from straight within Design Space, then check out the link in the description of this video to find out more about Lovely Layering. But I'm also just going to spend a couple of minutes now walking you through each of the different projects which you will learn how to make if you take this training. This course contains 11 different lessons, and each one is a different thing, a different layered design to make. Lesson 1 is kind of the thing that I think most people want to learn when they buy the course, and that's how to take an existing image or SVG and turn it into a layered design. So just like on the screen, you'll learn how to turn a standard one-layer image into one which is full of different layers and colours that you can then cut out from cardstock and layer together to make a gorgeous layered design. You'll master editing tools within Design Space such as Contour, Slice and Weld. And don't worry if you haven't used them before or if you're not quite sure how to use them, because all you need is included in the video lessons inside the course. Lesson 2 of Lovely Layering is how to add the shadow layers like we've just done, but how to stack them so that you get more than one at a time. Lesson 3 uses those same techniques, but it tells you how to load them to existing SVGs or images. So like this one on the screen, it shows you how to do it. And it is a little bit different to how we've just done it with the text, which is why this is a separate lesson inside the course. Lesson 4 is how to design your own shadow box scenes. So this is where you combine pre-made images to design your own themed shadow boxes, for example this husky design. I'll show you some top tips for ensuring an effective 3D design that shows the layers perfectly, and then you'll also learn how you can cut it out to perfectly sit inside your box frame and how to stick it all together. Lesson 5 builds on that shadow box technique, and this time it's how to make a layered design but inside a shape. So I'll show you how to do it with this unicorn head design. I'll also show you how to turn your design into a light up shadow box where we've got LED strips behind it. So not only is this a designing course, but every single lesson also includes information and a video on how to assemble the finished design once you've designed it. Lesson 6 is how to make layered greetings cards. So together we'll learn how to make this dolphin design. For lesson 7, we're going to be designing a monogram letter with stencil shapes. So you can see here we've got the S letter with flowers and butterflies, and then first we'll design that so you could put any shapes you want inside this letter. It could be anything to match the person who you're making it for and what they like. We'll then turn this into a layered design to go inside a shadow box. Remember earlier how I said that cutting out that shadow layer using the slice tool is the first step to making your own layered mandala letters? Well, inside Lovely Layering, I'll show you how you can turn that into a 6-layer design like the one you can see here. So for this course, I show you how to make this floral design, but of course you can add whatever images and shapes you want to personalize your letters however you want to make them. Sometimes you might have an image which you want to make layered, but actually it's all one colour and one shape and it's just a silhouette image. Don't worry if that's the case, because you can still turn it into a layered design, and I'll show you how. So for this tutorial we take the dog silhouette you can see, and then we'll add an outline to it and add a mandala design in the middle, and then in Design Space turn it into a 4-layered design, all in different colours. Lesson 10 is how to design your own layered clocks, and I think these are really fun and they make excellent gifts for birthdays or Christmas for your family member and friends. So I'll show you how to make this sunflower design, but again you can make whatever type of clock you want. I'll also show you how to assemble the finished clock with a working mechanism once you've designed it and cut it out. Finally, we have lesson 11, and this is one of my favourites, and it's also a newer lesson. So this was something that was requested by members of the course, so I added it in at the end of last year. And this is how you can design word scenes, which is when you take a whole word and create an image layered design behind it, so that throughout each letter of the word, you see different parts of the design. So in total, these 11 videos will teach you all the skills you need to master creating layered designs with your Cricut machine. You can get started now for just $27 in the limited time sale, which ends on the 1st of February 2021. So if you're interested in learning how to make your own layered designs, check out the Lovely Layering course by following the link in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Design Space tutorials. Thank you for watching. Bye.